Alright, hi. Subcourse QM3503 Edition A Direct Filter Separator Operations Aipd, Army Institute of Professional Development, Army Correspondence Course Program. Introduction. Quality control. Handling of the petroleum product is the most important. Your best tool in maintaining the product quality. Filter separator. You must ensure that each filter separator used operation selection, using operation function properly to ensure the proper operation. You must thoroughly familiar with the operation maintenance procedures. You must be able to identify each filter separator used in military operation, perform operation checks on the filter separator to determine the pressure differential, and know when to change the filter separator. The subcourse provides instruction concerning the internal operation filter separator, the use of the proper filter separator, specific pressure differential, the performance of daily, weekly check the filter separator, and the purpose to use and go, no-go fuses. The part A, follow the filter separator operation function, the following type of the filter separator, the use of discussed in the following receptive subparagraphs: 15 gallons per minute, 50 gallons per minute, 100 gallons per minute, 350 gallons per minute, 600 gallons per minute. 15 gallon per minute filter separator, the following discharge paragraph, it describes the 15 gallon per minute with the filter separator, also describes R to its use. Description: the 15 gallon per minute filter separator is a vertical portable unit consisting of an aluminum tank mounted on an aluminum skid. The tank at the fuel inlet outlet valve, the warning water drain valve with the water level sight, and the fuel inlet and outlet valves are identical to 1 inch of the manual, operated with the ball valves attached near the bottom of the tank, provided in the inlet outlet connections, a cam locking coupling for a 1 inch hose, the water drain valve, and 1 inch manually operated valve is also mounted near the bottom of the filter separator. The water level, the sight gauge, consisting of the plastic sight and the ball float, is mounted on the side of the tank of the show the water level in the base of the tank. The filter separator contains a go-no-go fuse, 1 filter element, 1 canister go-no fuse. The melters, the filter element, and water and contamination passes through the filter element and is absorbed to the go-no fuse, which restricts shuts off the flow of the fuel when the cover held in place with the 4 bolts has manually operated the pressure vent valve. The layout of the unit. Filter separator is 27.5 inches high, weighs about 20 pounds when empty. The top working pressure is 25 pounds per square inch, and you must ground the filter separator before using it. Alright, your 15 gallon per minute filter separator shows the pressure vent valve, the data plate, the outlet valve, the dust cap, the water drain valve, the skid, the sight gauge, the dusting plug, and the inlet valve. Using the 15 gallon per minute filter separator, the 15 gallon per minute hand operated dispensing pump fuel with the free solid contamination of the water. If no other aircraft refueling equipment is available, make sure the 15 gallon per minute with the filter separator is refueled. The light aircraft, the 15 gallon per minute filter separator. The following paragraph describing the 15 gallon per minute filter separator also describes its uses. Description: a 50 gallon per minute filter separator consists of all the aluminum tank with the removal of the cover inlet with the dust cap and plug and outlet pipe with the dust cap, manually operated water drain valve, the air vent valve, the pressure differential indicator, the side of glass installed with the mounting plate near the bottom of the tanker car, are 4 filter elements, canister assembly with the float valve in sight. Glass shows how much water is in the tank of the valve, sinks in the fuel of the float lines of the water, the pressure differential indication. It shows when these should be changed in the filter elements of reading in the green. At 0 to 20 psi means the elements are clean. The reading of the yellow 20 to 35 psi means they must be changed. The elements at the end of the day of the operation. Reading of the red 35 psi or up means that you must change the elements at once. Alright, 1-2, the frame mounted with the type 1 50 gallon filament 50 filter separated with the cover air vent outlet tank, the pressure differential indicator inlet, water level sight, water drain valve, instruction valve plate, and the frame identification plate. Also, changing elements whenever the following conditions exist. The pressure differential exceeds the allowable limits. There is no pressure differential sample indicated excessive fuel contamination. You can change the higher grade of the product after 24 months elapsed. Whenever you change an element, follow these precautions. Change all the elements. Check the gasket rings. Prevent damage in aluminum canister. The unit is 36 inches high, 20 by 1.5 inches by 16 inches wide. Weighs 50 to 85 pounds. The flow rate of 50 gallons per minute. You must ground the filter separator before using a grounding rod cable with the unit. Using and use the 50 gallon per minute filter separator, using the 50 gallon per minute separate pumping assembly, refueling system, air filters, and the equipment to service the ground vehicle of the type 1 filter separator shown in figure 1-2. The frame mounted employing an open field use. The type 2 model has no frame, employing the tank employ it with the tank and the pump unit. 300 gallon per minute filter separator. The following paragraph describes the 100 gallon per minute filter separator. Also describes as it used. The description: 100 gallon per minute filter separator shown in figure 1-3. The aluminum tank with removable cover to the female inlet with the dust plug. It has a male out. It has a dust cap. The filter elements 5 filter elements to each of the canister, and it sits on the mounting plate near the bottom of the tank. The filter separator is mounted on the tubular aluminum frame. Filter separator has an air vent valve, the pressure differential indicator, sight glass, and manually operated water drain valve. The float valve with the sight glass shows how much water is in the tank. The ball sinks in the flow fuel, but the flow is in the water. The pressure differential indicator shows when the change in the filter elements. Reading the green from 0 to 20 psi means the elements are clean. Changing the elements from the end of the day operation. Reading the yellow from 20 to 35 psi. Changing the elements at once to reading the red 35 psi and up. Note when you change your elements, follow the precautions listed in paragraph 2. The following the rate of filter separator of 100 gallon per minute is top working pressure is 75 psi. Grounding the unit before using it. Using the mainly, use the 100 gallon per minute filter separator. Use the 100 gallon per minute pump. The assembling is part of the forward of the refueling equipment. Forward area refueling equipment system. However, it is used as an individual item. The equipment that uses the various models of the 100 gallon per minute pumping assembly. 100 gallon per minute filter separator shows the air vent valve, the pressure differential indicator with the frame, the coupling band, and the inlet port. The 350 gallon per minute filter separator, the following paragraph describes the 350 gallon per minute filter separator, also describes its uses. The description: 350 gallon per minute filter separator shown in figure 1.4 consists of an aluminum pressure tank with a readable head with the tank, as well as the tubular annual frame with the first support and protection. This has an inlet pipe through the unfiltered fuel enters the outlet pipe, through the which with the filter of the fuel leaves the internal inlet manifold risers mounting the 18 filter element and canister assembly. The filter separator also has an air vent so that the air can be let out with the tank. The sight glass indicated with the water level means they float with the ball. Manually operated water drain valve with the drain water from the tank. The pressure differential indicator shows that when you need to change the filter elements, reading the green from 0 to 20 psi means the elements are clean. Checking the elements at the end of the day, the operation reading from the yellow to 20 to 35 psi. Changing the elements at once, reading the red at 35 psi and up. Note all changes in elements when any of the conditions described in paragraph 2A exist. When you change the elements, follow the precaution listed in paragraph 2A. The filter separator is 40 inches high, 47 inches long, and 33 inches wide. This weighs 370 pounds. It is designed for a flow rate of 350 gallons per minute. The top of the work pressure is 150 psi. Grounding the unit before operation. Use the 350 gallon per minute filter separator in the airfield refueling system. Motor fueling for this equipment also used for the military hose line systems. 5. Your 600 gallon per minute filter separator. The 600 gallon per minute filter separator contains 30 element, 30 canister used with the pipeline system. Other than mentioning the fact that the 600 gallon per minute filter separator exists in the subcourse, does not discuss 600 gallons per minute filter separator. The filter 6. The filter separator controls. Each filter separator has a manual water drain off controls. Each of the filter separator also has a pressure differential gauge. Part B, internal components of the operation, maintenance and procedures. The internal components of the operation contained with the fuel is often present with the fuel with the purified, the contaminated fuel with the filter separator. The standard of the filter separator consists of filter element, canister. Some with the canister element serves the tune purposes that keeps the elements in place to facilitate the water coherency in the direction of the fuel, and then the air aids in the function of the filter separator. A. The filter element, the standard filter element, national stock number 4330009830998, fits inside the canister of the element. Perforated tubes surrounding the filter, fiberglass fitting of the material, which is turned and wrapped in several layers, is different. The material, the fiberglass material filters solid material particles from the fuel. Caution: any form of sediment may clog the filters, injector nozzles, aircraft fuel systems by abrasive action, and solid damage. Finally, tooled aircraft fuel system components. Large particles of metallic sediment include failure somewhere in the fuel system. The outside element of the coalacer contains layers of fiberglass acetate, continent, and fiberglass screen. The coalacer combines with the small droplets and large heavier ones that will fall to the bottom of the container. The coalacer contains one of the inner and outer tubes, as shown in figure 1.5. The inner tube made with the perforated metal. The metal screen supports the filter element. The outer tube is made of perforated metal lined, non-sticking metallic coated screen. You can take off the end of the seal and place it at the top of the canister in order to reach the filter element. The outer tube with the fiberglass blanket in the fiberglass is so finely spun that it traps minutes of the droplets in the water in their tracks. The droplets are held securely until they are finally built up with the coherency into large drops, and then they be by gravity drop into the sump. Since the water is heavier than light viscosity fuel, 99.95% of the water goes into the sump and not into the aircraft or the fuel tank. Alright, picture figure 1.5.1.4 shows the 350-gallon filter separator, the air emitter, pressure differential, indicator outlet, sight glass, and water drain off. To the inner tube, which consists of the fiberglass disc of the heart sign of the filtration described in the next subparagraph of the colons. No matter the cost of the tank of mechanical arrangement, any of the filter separator is used only on the goods as the filter ornaments in the house. The filtering process, the filter processing consists of two-stage, one-stage filterization. The other is water coherencies. One, filterization. During the filtration stage, the raw fuel enters the center of the tube of the filter element through the filter fitting on the bottom of the canister. The solid containments are removed. The fuel filter out with the perforated center of the tube through the fiberglass filtering material. Two, water coherencies. As fuel passes through the outer layers of the element in the fine particles of water into the fuel coherency droplets. The fuel contained with the coherency water passes through the inner tube of the canister into the space between the inner and outer tubes. The metallic coated with the screen outer tube does not allow the water droplets to pass through it, and they fall into the bottom of the chamber of the filter separator. Only clean fuel passes through the outer canister tube into the filter separator. Tank figure 1.6 shows the flow of fuel through a 100-gallon filter separator. Alright, the fiberglass disc, a fiberglass blanket, outer and inner coulter tubes. 2. The maintenance. Your filter separator operator responsible for the changing filter elements canister when necessary. They ensure the keeping the master differential indicator of the reading of the daily log. Determine if the maintenance is needed. You may also be suggested to format the daily log shown in figures 1.7 and 1.8. The pressure differential vary with the slightly day-to-day operation because of the different pumping rates of difference within the products. However, there is a sudden significant drop of the pressure differential. The filter element may be ruptured. If this happens, to stop the operation, change the filter elements immediately. Inspect the canister, replace them as they are needed or damaged. To check the filter elements canisters, always wear the safety gloves to prevent the fuel from contacting eyes or skin. When changing the filter elements, always stencil the date change on the top of the filter or the separator. Check the performance of all the filter separators and use every 30 days. Submitting procedural samples to the laboratory. Immediately test those not using prior to placing them in service every 30 days thereafter while they are in use. Figure 1.6 shows the flow of the fuel through the 100-gallon filter separator. The black arrow shows the fuel of the solid contaminants entering the water, entered and trained with water. The semi-shaded one shows the fuel entered with water. The two arrows show water and clean fuel with air eliminator valve, sight glass shown off the true position. The outlet in the water drain shut off the true position, inlet and drain. So 1.7 shows the suggested format of filter separator daily log front. Preventing maintenance check of the service, conducting preventive maintenance checks of the service, the preventive maintenance check service or PMCS before B and during A. Before stands for B, D stands for during, and A stands for after. Operating equipment only on a weekly or monthly basis, W or M, is indicated with the figure 1.9 during the preventive maintenance checks and services on a 300-gallon per minute. Filter separator inspects the specific item following the particular procedure in accordance with the instructions provided in Figure 1.9. 1.8 shows the suggested format for the filter separator daily log back. 1.9 shows the 350-gallon filter separator vent and maintenance check test list. The number 1 interval with the inlet outlet couplings inspect and secure and fit, ensure that the cams are tight. Head bolts, ensure the head bolts are tight. Sight glass, ensure the sight glass for cracks, ensure that the bolts are tight. Air vent valve, inspect the secure, ensure that the weight screws work freely. Drain valve, inspect the secure, and ensure that the handle is in the off position. And that was the Direct Filter Separator Operations Aipd Army Correspondence Course Program QM 3505 Edition A.